Hello, everybody, and welcome in episode 86 of the Illiana Stock Car Radio. Jeremy here with you guys, as always, flanked by the brothers Goodacre, Chris and
You're
Brian.
not flanked. There's
I
one of
could
us
be.
next to you and one of you behind you.
That's to me, that's flanked. I mean, I'm not much
That's
on
you
I'm not much
tied.
on military strategy, but to me, that's flanked. That's close enough.
Okay, close enough.
Now we got finger guns down there.
At least he's not talking over you.
We had that conversation off air. It's great. Everything's great.
Yeah, it's almost like we know what we're doing.
Yeah,
Well,
no, amateur podcast hosts.
And
Not even,
semi-professional race car drivers.
not even that. Not even that.
Hey, I have 2 iRacing wins to my credit.
I've got
like
a few
a
more
decade
than
ago.
that, well, hey, it does.
Well, you do real iRacing. I do farting around.
I get my butt kicked on iRacing is what happened. I get my butt kicked by 12-year-olds. So
Yeah, that's what online gaming will do to you.
yeah, it will make you. It will age you quickly.
I got an RCG feature win. What's up?
Yes, you do.
Yeah, suck it.
G feature,
And then you haven't been back since. You retired on top.
dude. He
That's
did.
right. That's right.
It went out a winner, man. I love it.
That's right.
Oh man, well, we got an awesome show planned for you guys this week. As we mentioned on our Facebook posts.
Yeah, you're getting good at that.
Oh well, I have good photographical help. Photography help.
Who is
Something
he?
like
Where
that.
do I hire
I
him?
don't know. Yeah. He's hired.
Photographic.
Photographical help. Yes, there it is. That's the big word. See, that time he could talk over me. It's good.
Yeah, there you go.
The correction is great. Photographical help with the post for this week for the
Still not
Kankakee
sure that's a word.
County Speed. We'll go with it. Shush.
You're the English major.
I know.
Yeah, you are. What the hell?
You should have made it up.
Yeah, I'm the engineer in the math stuff. You're the
There you go.
you're the linguist.
I'm
So,
just the beer guy.
yeah, you are the beer guy, bringing up the party for everybody.
That's right.
This week's episode starts our 2024 season preview episodes with our tracks and track promoters, starting with the Kankakee County Speedway. We kind of wanted to start with them since they were kind of getting ready to kick things off a little sooner than everybody else. They were scheduled to have some practice this upcoming weekend. Of course, I think Mother Nature
Last weekend.
Last weekend.
Last weekend they rained
Last
out.
weekend. This weekend they're going to try to
excuse
get
me. They
They
the
cold it out,
the water was shut off.
Yeah.
So they had to get the water turned back on so they couldn't track prep.
You do
So
need
now
water
they're-
for practice because
now they're
I
set up.
understand that people like using the bathroom.
That does help.
Yeah.
So I get my weeks confused. Either way,
At a racetrack, they could just pee in the woods.
Eh,
or out behind the trailer that's off
Yeah,
turn
yeah.
3. It's okay. So yeah, we were starting our season preview episodes with Kankakee County Speedway and Billy Nippenberg Jr., who will join us here in just a minute. Brian, you set this one up, so we will definitely we'll be the floating heads for this episode, and we'll let you take the lead on it. Curious to see what Billy's got to say. We had him on last year. Had some good information.
yeah, we've
for
actually
us.
got him. I think we got him set up to be like on screen this time, as opposed to a really, don't want to say bizarre, but having him call in and trying to work that into our production workflow, and I think this will work better.
Yeah, we're still amateurs at a lot of the technology stuff that comes along with this deal. So even after 8 years or whatever we've been doing this now, it's still.
Hey, we've tried every way possible and screwed up every single one of them in the process. So
Yes,
by now we at least know what problems we can cause.
Yeah, we kind of know what not to do. We kind of know what works, and we kind of just stick with that.
Yeah.
So we do that. Starting off this week, though, this episode was a little bit of kind of on a darker, heavier.
Yeah, we'll get our one negative out now. We'll do one positive
negative
later.
out. I wanted to send our condolences to the Wilson family and friends of Rick Wilson. Chris and Brian, you guys had some history with Rick, but unfortunately lost him this past week.
Yep.
Yep, he's. I know he was Brian's favorite growing up, and before we got on air, he was. He's going to go get it. Okay. He didn't take it far.
Didn't go far.
Brian, one of Dad's pictures that he had blown up for Brian, because that was Brian's Mike Martin or Danny Randolph, and we had some dealings with Katie when we were partners with the Women's Motorsports Network. So yeah, it's just heartbreaking. We've been through that. I don't wish that pain on anybody. So yeah, thoughts and prayers out with the Wilson family.
Yeah. So, fortunately, tough to lose a member of the racing community, but usually in times like this, the community and the family that we're here trying to preserve and protect and promote. Everybody comes together in times like these. So definitely thinking of the Wilson family there. So on to our local racing season, though, with Billy Nippenberg Jr., obviously said promoter of the Kankakee County Speedway, entering his third year as a promoter. And the Speedway is getting ready to embark on its diamond anniversary, 75th year, Brian.
Yep. Pretty exciting, man.
Yeah.
Racing's got a long history around here, and
Mm-hmm.
we're trying to uncover it and keep it going.
Yep. So with that being said, before we get to Billy, I want to thank everybody who watches the show on YouTube. We put a lot into it and had a lot of success there. So if you're watching it on YouTube, please hit that like and the subscribe and the little bell and the follow and all the bells and whistles, quite literally, that are on the screen there in front of you to get notified anytime we post a new episode. And you can keep on top of everything going on here at Illiana Stock Car Radio. If you're an audio podcast listener, thank you to you as well. Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, wherever you get your podcasts, you can find us, Illiana Stock Car Radio. So thank you guys for listening. And on the audio stuff, this is important too. Make sure you, whatever platform you're on, make sure you like, rate, review, all that stuff. That helps us kind of float up the charts a little bit. So we would like to do that. So without further ado, let's get to the promoter of the Kankakee County Speedway, Billy Nippenberg Jr.
All right. Well, joining us today is Billy Nippenberg Jr., entering his third year as promoter at the Kankakee County Speedway in Kankakee, Illinois. Let's kind of talk about last year a little bit. What have you learned over the past 2 years being a promoter, and maybe talk about some of your successes and maybe some of your failures, and how you're making Kankakee a better place for racers and fans?
Well, we've been definitely trying to make things over the last couple of years a little safer. It's one of the things that I keep working harder and harder on every year. What can we do to make things safer, better? The last thing I want to do is see anybody get injured. So we've been working hard at that, and putting walls and fences up and improving fences, and just trying to get that stuff going. As far as successes, it's hard to say what a success is. We just these nights, when we go out there, it's just a very, very busy night, and it goes from really, really fast. I spend a day there usually on a Friday. We get there about 9 a.m. and we're there till 3 or 4 in the morning. It's just a really long day, long night. And, I think the only way I have to measure whether it's a success or not is how much negative feedback there is out there on the internet.
Well, no matter what you do, Billy, there's going to be plenty of that.
Yep.
There's
no matter where you go.
Some weeks we can kind of see that, we do better than others. Some weeks it's, crickets out there and you don't see nothing. That's kind of when I say, well, it must have been a successful week. With racing's been, it's one thing I've learned in the last couple of years. This is way harder than I ever imagined. Being a part of racing my whole life, if you think about it, I've been at a racetrack for the last 50 years every year. And, maybe when I was little, I didn't understand it, but as I got older, I understood a lot more about the other side of the fence. But when you come to this side and you're, trying to appease 100 racers each night, and, and trying to keep fans happy, and trying to, it's really tough to do, because everybody's got their own opinions and how they would want to do something. And I used to be that guy. And I can tell you, I have a whole lot more respect for all the other promoters and track help and crew and that at these tracks, because they go through a lot for nothing. So
yeah. Well, they always say you can't please everybody, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, I want to take a minute and congratulate you. I saw this on your Facebook. You guys were awarded the 2023 Dirt Car Racetrack of the Year.
Yeah. They give out some awards like that every year at the Springfield Banquet, and we were elected to receive the award. It was a nice 6-foot tall trophy, and it's pretty neat with all the dirt tracks out there. in in the World
Yeah.
Racing Group. It's a pretty good thing, and and one of the things that I liked most about that award is that award's not about me. It's about my whole crew, my whole team. It's about the racers that race at Kankakee and the fans. All the people that make it great. So, track of the year includes everybody.
Yeah, that's pretty awesome.
Yeah.
That's pretty awesome. So, how do we go about beating that kind of year in your 75th year? We're starting here in 2024, and I looked at your schedule, and there's a big 75th, and I think that's pretty exciting to be racing somewhere for so long. Where do we go from here and get better from last year?
So, we've kind of looked at the things a little bit differently this year on the scheduling, and I'm trying to make things a little bit different as the year goes on, not just the exact same event every single week. We've added a couple things as a first for me. We're bringing trailer races to the track one night. That's for Memorial Day weekend. We're going to also do like a little tough truck competition and spectator drags. Just trying to bring something new to the Speedway. The Memorial Day weekend is usually, or any holiday weekends, they're usually a little tough at the racetrack for stock car racing. I think more and more fans are spending more times with their families and stuff on these long weekends and maybe camping, different things. I think ever since COVID, people do a lot more of that type stuff. So, we're doing that. And then later in the year, we've got an enduro, which is, again, I've had a lot of people ask me to do one. I've put it on the schedule, and I'm committed really hard to get 75 or more cars out on that track at one time.
Good.
I'm hoping for more than that.
Yeah. Did
So,
in your early years of racing, did you ever do any enduros?
actually, I never did. I actually helped out a few people. Usually, those were the people that were on the pit crew that wanted to race but didn't have the money or the time to do it. But they do one of those a year or something. Back in the Grundy days, they always used to do. This was going back to the big car days and enduros, not the four cylinders. So no, I never really got the chance to do much of that stuff. I came out of, when I was 15 years old, my dad said, "Hey, you want to drive my late model in the limited late model class?" And I said, "Yeah, I want to do that." So I pretty much always spent most of my career in either a Mid-American Sportsman, late model, limited late model, now modifieds, crate late models.
Yeah. Well, we were just at the memorabilia show, and it seems like a lot of those Raceway Park and Santa Fe guys, I mean, they cut their teeth doing enduros, and then they
Yeah.
moved up. Maybe they didn't have a dad to offer a limited late model like you did, but
Right.
it's seemed to have kind of gone away there in the 90s and early 2000s, and now it's making a big comeback.
Yeah. No,
I
it
think
is. It's a neat thing for guys to, to have a lot of fun and not have to break the bank doing it. That's the one thing that I've been trying to do at Kankakee, is like, I created a Crown Vic class last year, which is, nothing that I designed. I mean, stuff got popular really fast across the country. And it's, my rule of thumb there is, race cars that you can go spend less than $5,000 to go do. And, it's funny because I found a lot of guys that have street stocks that they're spending a lot of money on and such.
Yeah.
And they were going, "Man, I'd like to drive one of those too." It looks like it would bring the fun back out in it,
Yeah.
because cost of everything is just getting, really expensive to build race cars today. And, there's more to it than it used to be. It's, engineering is, definitely taking racing to another level. And the average person, that just works a normal job, they can't afford to do that stuff. So it's
Right.
this is, enduros and these entry level divisions are really important for the future of racing.
Yeah. Well, speaking on your classes, you pretty much have the same. You got your pro lates, the pro mods, the modified stock cars, factory stocks, the Crown Vic class you just mentioned. And I noticed that last year I think you kind of had two four-cylinder classes running together but competing separately, and now it looks like you just combined them into one. What was the decision on that?
Well, we had a couple guys that were running in that division. It never really blew up like I thought it would. We just had a couple people that were running in it, and then we had two cars that I funded and paid for, and then we had another friend of mine that had two cars that that they were getting ready to run, and I just I just seen it going the wrong way. It wasn't building any attention. Honestly, I probably shot myself in the foot with it by creating the Crown Vic class, because a lot of people that were looking to get into the cheap racing went that direction. So, that division's kind of been a little too far gone. I mean, I really like the 4-cylinder division, especially when they get 20 cars out there. They put on a really good race. They do. And I just, unfortunately, it's like anything else, rules get laxed and cars get built bigger, better, more money goes into them. And next thing you know, people are spending $15,000-$20,000 on a 4-cylinder race car.
Yeah. And I know over at Shady Hill, they've got the engine claim rule, and in hopes of keeping that down, and kind of pissed off some of the big spenders.
That's caused a little bit of drama.
Yeah. All on Facebook too.
Well, and that's the problem. Yeah, I mean, you'll create the drama, but sometimes I do think you have to hit the reset button because it does get out of control. And but I'll tell you, it's a hard division to manage because, like the Crown Vic division, they're all the same. They're all the same engines, so like if you're gonna, start really digging into tech and the stuff, it would be a lot easier. And if you look at all the classes, throughout the, dirt racing, they're all similar motors. It's all similar stuff. But when you get into this, 4-cylinder, I mean, you got Porsches trying to run, and you got, all these different cars, out there running, and you would need a boatload of tools just to, even do it, and you really couldn't afford to do it. And that's what makes it tough. And I think, I think the claim rule is a good idea if everybody does it, if you do it the right way. If it's just the racetrack doing a claim rule, sometimes it's, it's just a little scare tactic. But
I know we had a kind of a gray area, and I know that they changed the rule a little bit to kind of make it a little bit less of a gray area and limit it to the top 3. So hopefully things head in the right direction in that class across the board for every track, because we need that entry level so that people can build up and move on.
Absolutely, yeah. That's what it takes.
Yeah. So moving into away from classes and kind of talking about your schedule, kick things off April 12th with the Lee Hall Memorial. How are things looking for that?
We've been working pretty hard, and we're not 100% done with how we're gonna post the payout as of right now. I've got it set at about $2,500 to win, and it's between $200 to $300 to start, somewhere in there. That's not as big as it was last year, but it's still a very respectful purse. It's more than most modified races get. I mean, there's a couple specials here and there that pay better, but for a factory stock division, that's really good pay. And I've got a couple other people that are talking about, jumping aboard here last minute, and I've got I've got a raffle out there that we're finishing up, and that's gonna tack on a little bit more money, and it's probably gonna end up being somewhere around $3,000 to win, I think.
Awesome.
So
that's huge for those guys.
Yeah, I mean, it seems like it's got a lot of momentum as far as cars and drivers been reaching out and, talking about rules and stuff like that. So I think, we'll have a pretty good, car count and, a good field. With these memorial races, it's a shame, but they're never as good as, the first year.
Right.
They do really well first year, and then they kind of, I hate to say it, and people start to forget about it. And this is, the Lee J. Hall Memorial Races was a very special one in my eyes. It was a guy that I met. I didn't know that long, but he's one of them guys that he touches you right away. And, and when he passed away with his family like that, it's still something that you just don't want to forget. And you want to carry this man on forever, because he was a great racer, a great competitor, and he was a guy that everybody in the pits looked up to. So hopefully all the racers can put differences aside and things like that and come on out and support this great race.
Yeah, and I know from my perspective, I didn't know him very long. He raced at Shady Hill in my time there for just a couple nights, really, and then ultimately things happened the way they did. But we were actually out at Plymouth Speedway, and the promoter out there, he raced out there 1 year with dirt, and they when they had it, and then they pulled the dirt off, and that's when he came to Shady Hill. But even they, made a comment about him the day after it, whatever the event was that was going on there. So yeah, Lee Hall definitely had an impression on a lot of people all across the area in the racing world.
Yeah, yeah, he was definitely not a selfish racer. If he lost a race, he was the first to congratulate somebody at Victory Lane. I mean, he just lost a race. I wish I could be
Yeah.
that person. I lose a race,
Right.
I'm usually throwing a temper tantrum. Here's this man over
Yeah.
congratulating the guy. And he's the guy that we all want to be, and
Yeah.
so it's definitely a very important race to keep rolling.
Yeah, that's going to be a great way to kick off the 2024 season. And looks like you guys go all the way through late September and end things with what's called the River City Rumble Night. Kind of what I saw kind of reminded me of like a night of feature sort of deal. You got all your classes coming in and a non-points night, and kind of just throwing a bunch of money to to the races.
Yeah, so we're just trying something a little bit different this year. It was one of them things that the last night of the year I've been trying to do this bonfire thing, and honestly, it's we try to do it at the end of the races, but last year, actually the last 2 years, we end up having a late night that night because we had extra laps and they're bigger races, and then you get the racers, the champions all kind of want to take their time and celebrate a little bit, and
Oh yeah.
so it just kind of drags the night on. So I figured, well, why don't we do something a little different? Let's end the points a week earlier. I guess by doing that is if for some reason we ended up having a rain out, I don't want to end the points on a rain out. So we can, extend that out one extra week if we have to and adjust things. So just trying to, try again, like I said, we're trying to put on some things a little bit different year after year to make it a little bit different. Otherwise, everybody sees the same thing, week in and week out.
Right. All right. And then so let's kind of go over the meat of the schedule here. We're bringing back the Hell Tour, Mid-Ams, and the Mars Tour this year
Yes.
for the Richard Craven Memorial. So talk about bringing in the outside series. What advantage does that have for you as a promoter, bringing in fans maybe?
The traveling series are pretty good, and what it does is they get, a different group of cars that follow. So, Mars, Matt Curl did a really good deal with that last year, him and Jonathan Clayton, and they were very organized and they, put together a good point fund. So they get a really good following car count wise. You could put on our own late model show there, but chances are, you're going to get 15 cars or something, doing it. If you bring in the outside ones that, they got a good following. So the key there is to, maybe put on a little bit better show. You get a different quality of cars. They usually bring in a lot bigger names. This year we're doing the Mars event as a Richard Craven Memorial. Richard Craven was a personal friend of mine. Passed away from COVID complications, and his son had wanted to do this, this special race for his dad, and he's doing one here, and he's doing one over at Fairbury. And Richard was a guy that really touched a lot of people as well. He helped out a lot of racers, and he'd give the shirt off of his back to help anybody. And so we're doing it a little bit different. I mean, I'm listening to fans a little bit. We're trying this event is only going to have 4 divisions, so it's late models, modifieds, sportsmen's, and street stocks. And the reason for that mix of cars is Richard Craven actually drove all 4 of those types of cars.
Cool.
And so I think it's going to be a little bit faster run show, and so I hear a lot of times we got too many divisions and stuff, and I will tell you, I'm a numbers guy, so I really dig into that stuff, and I think you got to have the divisions in today's day and age to help support it. It's more the back gate than the front gate anymore, and so to keep this thing going, I could put on 5,000 win races and have 3 divisions, but I'll be closing the track in 3-4 weeks, if I keep going down that path.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I will tell you what. The one night I made it out last year, despite it being an early night, because we had that pretty wicked storm come in after the Mid-Am. Well, I think it was a modified race. McKinney pulled in at like lap 29 because the storm was there. You guys were on it. I mean, there was no delay, and I think I got turned around about 14 times just trying to keep up with the races coming out. It was just bam, 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 and I'm just like, I think we're gonna get the whole night in.
7 divisions. We gotta run fast, and we knew storms were coming, and the Mid-Am series was a big thing of mine. I spent a lot of time driving in those cars, and I like that division, and I like the direction that Tim's been going with that, and so we decided to have that race there last year, and we talked about having it back to back with Sycamore. I thought it would be really cool, and I had a lot of doubts from people, not from me. I knew they would put on a good show, but a lot of other people around was like, man, I don't know about this. But I will tell you, when the green flag dropped for that race, I'll tell you, like, everybody in the pits were standing up by that fence watching. I mean, like, there wasn't, everybody was there. I mean, they had a really good crowd that night too, and they put on a really good race.
Yes, they did.
For asphalt cars, and for people to know it, they're running a slick tire that they just throw some grooves in it, So that was a pretty neat show.
I had a few people ask me if I was there for the asphalt guys. I'm like, I'm here for everybody, It was Chris shooting Grundy and whatnot. But you're bringing it back again, so it was good enough show that they're coming back. And is that another back-to-back night with Sycamore deal?
Yes, yeah, he's keeping that going that way. And one of the best things about that is for the guys with those cars that run asphalt, they set their cars up for dirt and they run one weekend, and then they got time to put their stuff back together to go back to the pavement stuff again. So
right, yeah. And I tell you what, part of that crew is Chuck Uris. We gotta shout him out, man. He really helped Chris and Dad at Grundy back when he was working there, and then he's now really done a good job with Tim. And I think he kind of did the whole T-shirt cannon thing around here. He really got everybody on board with shooting out T-shirts.
Yeah, Chuck does a lot for us too. He does, he goes out there and shoots shirts all the time for us, and he just loves the sport of racing, and he's out there having fun doing what Chuck likes to do.
Did you ever race against him in Mid-Ams, or were you in late models when he was racing?
I think most of the time I was mostly in late models. I think I did run against him a little bit in Mid-Am here and there, because if you remember right, I a lot of times would run double duty, or somebody would have me drive their car or something. So I did race against him some.
Oh, cool. So also added is vintage class, which kind of created some Facebook drama a little bit, but you're going to stick with a few select nights this year. And our last episode, we had talked with Jerry Clark. He mentioned the night, all their nights. I got a handful of them, but you guys are bringing in the Illinois Stock Car Hall of Fame, which is a really cool deal. I've been up there, but talk about the vintage class a little bit. And I remember as a up and coming photographer, they had raced at Illiana a couple of times, and your dad raced in the vintage class a few times I saw. So talk about that class a little bit.
So vintage has always had a place with me. My dad, and Fireball, Art Furman, put this thing together years ago in this area and had this vintage series. My dad ended up, he wasn't a part of the series, but he, built quite a few cars and brought cars at a racetrack. Myself, I drove them some. My brother drove them some. My dad drove them some. And then my dad had a couple other drivers, drive for him a couple times and some of the stuff, dirt and asphalt. Again, kind of like I talked about with the pavement stuff, I remember nights at, days at Grundy or Illiana, when the vintage cars pull up, the people don't leave the seats, and I kind of contribute that to when you look at, in most of, especially the dirt world, when you look at late models and modifieds and street stocks and that, they don't look like real cars anymore. They look like, Batmobiles and
spaceships.
Yeah, right. And don't get me wrong, I still think that stuff's cool, but there's a lot of people that don't relate to that. They go, what is that? But when the vintage cars come out, you'll hear them going, oh, that's a 56 Chevy. Oh, that's a, 70 Chevelle. Oh, that's a 69 Camaro. They really get into that thing. And I think that, that's something, again, it brings a little bit different to the racetrack. And, it's not a, I know there was a little Facebook drama, but, there's just a whole lot of these vintage cars that are sitting for some reason.
Yeah.
For whatever reason it is, I don't know. I don't get into that. I had a couple people come to me and say, hey, we'd like to do something and race, and we want to race just a little bit. We don't want to race a lot. So we got to talking about this vintage thing, and I just went with it. I said, yeah, let's do it. Let's have 5 races a year. I talked to some other people that have cars, and they're like, you know what, I'll support that. That'd be perfect once a month. We kept the rules where they can run the same with the other, with the Illinois vintage deal, Vintage of Illinois deal. They so some of the guys will run back and forth, and me and Matt Raymer had spoke, and he's still going to let him race. There was it's a little bit of drama there because he was upset about it, but I'm just trying to grow it, and I think honestly it'll help him too.
Yeah, I know. I visited some family up in East Central Iowa at Makokata Speedway, and they had a vintage class that runs around there a lot. And there's East Peoria maybe is another track over there that runs that vintage class, and I mean they're cool to see. They're cool to see. So continuing on with the schedule, you have 2 River City Mayhem nights, which you briefly touched on. The trailer races, and I know from our days at Illiana, we were barely getting by with a couple hundred people in the stands, but man, Crash Fest night, there wasn't an empty seat in the house. So talk about your decision to do that.
So the main reason for that is again, that's to try to break up the season a little bit. It gives everybody maybe another week off here or there. We're just, I think we need nights. You just kind of spelled it. If you got a night like that and it turns into filling a bunch of seats and the racetrack makes a little bit of money, that money can carry on to keep the short track racing alive. And that's what I'm doing this for. I'm a diehard short track racer, and I want to see this keep going. The last thing I want to do is see it die anywhere. So I just think that something like that can kind of just break it up a little bit, and hopefully we have a little luck on our side and we have a successful night, and that just kind of keeps the season alive, keeps the track going for another year.
Yeah. Maybe you get some people that wouldn't normally come to a regular Friday night. They see the schedule and they want to check out some, I'm not going to say real racing, but check out some real racing,
Yeah.
Come back and see some cars go fast rather than just crash.
Yeah, no, I mean, and I'm on the same boat, but I don't know, I've seen some stuff the last couple of years with some of this crash stuff. I think it's kind of cool too, but so it's, but it's one of them things that you're right. I mean, somebody might take a liking to the place and come back and, get involved and maybe get a race car. And that's what it's all about. If we don't get new future racers, the sport will die, because, the future racer is going, and they're taking that home, and their family and their kids and stuff like that are watching it and getting excited about it. And they're going, Dad, I want to do that too someday, and that's how I started. And, and it's how my son started, the generations just keep going and going. So,
yeah. Yep. Well, kind of where, okay. So for the 2024 season, maybe do you have some goals or some, measures of success and growth for this year? You kind of have on your bulletin board to keep you going and keep showing up on Friday night with a good attitude and getting racers and fans alike there.
Yeah, well, absolutely. I mean, our main goal is to just keep the sport alive, and that's my goal year after year. Is what can I do to make it better without breaking the bank, to make the racers want to come back. Obviously, the roles that I'm in is a tough role, and I'm kind of all over that place, from track prep to tech to toilet bowl cleaner to you name it. I kind of bounce around that place a lot, and it's always, everybody says, you gotta have thick skin. You have thick skin. Well, I don't know if anybody really has thick skin. It's when you get a complaint, it always hurts. At least it does me.
Yeah.
So it's always my goal to try to not have complaints.
Right. Cool. I know that you have recently raced, or you have a race schedule this year for yourself. Or are you going to take a back seat or get out of the car and kind of just focus on running things?
I'm gonna race some. We're gonna go on Saturday nights places, just different places this year. I'm hoping to get my mod running a little bit better this year and maybe travel around and run some of them shows. As far as the schedule, I don't know. I'll tell you, one of the things I struggle with is being at that racetrack from 9 o'clock till 4 in the morning. And the sad part is I start my normal business day at 6:30 at my other business on Fridays, and so you're almost up for 20 hours straight, and so it's really tough to have the energy the next day at 50 years old to get up and go racing and be out again till 2 in the morning or whatever it is. So, but right now I'd have to say I gauge my season on how energetic my son is, because my son, he is the one that kind of pushes me to go racing on Saturdays and stuff. So like if he has that in him this year, then that means he'll want to help get the cars loaded and unloaded and worked on and stuff like that. So it's and I can't complain in the apartment. Every time I wanted to go race last year, everybody came and ran and come help. So my biggest thing is getting the truck and trailer home after the races, because I don't want to hurt nobody, falling asleep or something.
Yeah. Yep. All right. What night are you most looking forward to this year? You got one in mind, or just all of them?
Well, I mean, I'm gonna say with all of them. I mean, I don't want to, go down that path because I feel like I'd hurt people's feelings. So I gotta be honest with you. I got 4 memorial races this year on the schedule, and all 4 of them, mean a lot to me, and they're all exciting in their own way. I touched on the Lee Hall race and the Richard Craven race, and I got a Jody Gordon memorial race, which is a 4-cylinder division. He was actually the very first guy to reach out to me about sponsoring the Speedway, and at that time I didn't have any of the divisions spoken for in that, and I said to him, well, who would you like to help? He goes, well, I'd like to help the 4-cylinders. They're the ones that need it the most, so and there's his wife is carrying on the tradition, and they're still sponsoring, and so we're gonna have a memorial race for them, and then we've got the Tom Pasick Memorial, and honestly, it's turning out to be a really massive race. We got 5,000 to win, and 500 to start, and we got we're working on some details here, but what we're trying to do is we're going to have basically a double feature. So you'll put top 20 cars in the main, and then you'll take the other ones and put them into, basically call it a non-qualifiers race, and it's going to pay right about 600 to win and 100 to start. So it'll be like a normal feature night, and then it'll be also points for dirt car for both events. So should be a successful night as far as getting cars there for that type of pay.
Good.
Yeah.
Good. That's definitely exciting. Looking forward to 2024 with you guys at Kankakee. One more thing, I think just had a brain fart.
I do that
you
all
wrote
the time.
script.
Yeah, you wrote the script.
I
What
did.
you
Well,
doing?
Billy mentioned something, and I had it in my head, and then I started rethinking about what he was talking about with those memorial races, and now I can't remember.
It's all good.
Anyway, all right. Well, I guess I'll text you, and maybe we'll put it as a comment if I remember later. Anyway, so before you head out, we do a hashtag one positive segment where we all kind of talk about one positive racing has had impact on our lives. So why don't if you can think of one, you got a one positive to share with us that from the racing world?
Well, I mean, my wife probably wouldn't agree with this, but I would have to say that one positive thing I have to say about racing is that fact that it's made me work way harder at everything in life. To win in a race car, you got to work really hard at it. And so everything that I've done in life, I work hard at. So it's, just the, not just the racing, but the business side, and, now the racetrack side, and, having good things at home and having a great family and things like that. It just comes from working hard, and I think racing's kind of done that for me.
Awesome.
All right.
That's good. Well, Billy, thank you very much. Wait, time out.
You're forgetting something else now too.
This is what I remembered. You were
He's
talking
on it.
about Jody and being a stand-up guy first a sponsor. You guys have a lot of sponsors, and you have a lot of. You mentioned your staff earlier. Why don't you take a minute and thank your sponsors and your staff, because that's what helps Friday nights the most, right?
It does, and unfortunately, I'm not prepared for that. I honestly would love to do that, in another time with you.
Yeah.
We're still in the midst of sealing up some stuff too, and that's where, it get kind of weird where I don't want to go and not mention
Right,
somebody,
yeah.
and so
Right.
we're really close to having everything wrapped up, and it's so many people that I would need a booklet to thank, and you guys would be carrying on for the next hours here. So, and just to make it simplified, everybody pretty much knows who you are. That's a part of this, and everybody is, all the help that comes in at the Speedway is amazing. From the sponsors and all the workers and the crews, from concession stands to just garbage crews to corner workers and flagmen and the tower help, and just so many people is what keeps us going, and they all are doing this for basically nothing. It's for the love of the sport, and it's one of the things that it's amazing. It's such a small world, and it's like, I actually share some of the workers that you guys use at Shady Hill, so so like it's, these people just do it for the love of it. So it's amazing.
Definitely a sport you gotta love.
Mm.
Well, maybe if you think of it and type an email to us, we can have Jeremy run all those people as a credits roll over your thank you.
Right?
That would be awesome.
Yeah. Well, thank you again for coming on, Billy. Good luck this season. Looks like you have plenty of action-packed Friday nights, a few weeks off, and a few crash fests in case you're not into speed. Reckon's more your style. Make sure you get there.
Absolutely.
Have a good one, Billy.
You too. Thank you.
And that was Billy Nippenberg Jr. Brian, I got to commend you. Your interview skills are coming along nicely.
You've come such a long way from sitting at the end of the couch.
I've been listening to professional podcasts and taking notes.
Sure as hell.
We're not.
Sure as hell have not been listening to us. For damn sure.
I've also been, taking notes from listeners out in the wild as they critique my abilities.
Chris, it was nice to just kind of be a floating head with you.
Yeah. That's usually my go-to, so I'm glad I had a partner.
Yeah, I thought about this after the fact. I do have the ability to. I could have just put those two on camera, and they could have just gone at it, and we could have sat in the background, kicked our feet up for a little while, and
you would have threw me off.
Wait,
they disappeared. Where'd they go?
Well, that would have been more entertaining, at least for us. Maybe for our listeners or viewers. I don't know.
I lost my train of thought without you leaving the screen. Imagine what would happen if you did.
That is true. Well, guys, what was your takeaways from our time and previewing the Kankakee County Speedway season with Billy?
Well, I was here to do the podcast this time and not in a meeting for work, so that's a step in the right direction.
Yeah, absolutely.
Hashtag one positive. Brian made it this week.
There it is. Brian made it to the show.
Yeah. So did Miller. He walked in on us.
Yeah, I saw the cameo there.
He's
apparently he's not as interested in participating.
No, he's sniffing one of
not
his
like he was
toys.
last time.
He's sniffing one of his toys.
Uh-huh.
Just continued growth, and Billy really talked about it a lot, and we would be remiss if we didn't mention our last show and all the stories we got from Woody and Kyle, and all the
stories that didn't make the air too, because
right,
that is the most people we have ever had stop by our table and look through. I mean, we almost tripled our picture count, but still, there were a lot of armchair racing going on off camera, just next to where the camera was.
We should have just had a boom mic at the table.
Oh, don't give Jeremy ideas.
That makes my life a lot easier next year.
We don't even have to talk to anybody.
No, I don't even have to do a damn thing. It's fine. Great.
Here, Chris, hold this mic.
That's not a wait, what?
What?
But someone who's done it, who's been in it for as long as he has, and
Mhm.
it's just wants to keep growing the sport because he sees everything we're seeing, and,
Yeah.
and from a different perspective. He's looking through a different lens as a promoter of a track, and
Ah,
he's got yeah, yeah,
I like the photography
good
pun.
one,
Gotta
good
love
one.
it.
And he has some financial ties that we don't necessarily do. He's got to afford those payouts with the team
mhm.
over there, and we just got to worry about getting enough money for gas because we got everything.
Yeah,
As
but
long, as long
for
as,
those of us putting 2 tanks of gas in over the weekend.
yeah,
Right?
yeah, right. So buy pictures, everybody. Gas is
Yeah,
expensive these
please.
days. Yeah. So, to hear it from his perspective, I think it's kind of eye opening, the way he talks about being a racer and kind of wishing he took back some of the stuff he did back when he was a racer and
Mhm.
using that to his advantage, being a promoter and handling scenarios with racers. And, we talked about it quite a little bit there, all the Facebook drama. And I mean, this drama all existed long
Mhm.
ago, back when Kyle Harvey and Woody Poole were racing, when there wasn't a Facebook. It just wasn't really public knowledge. It was
Right.
all hearsay. And now it's just front page, first thing you see after the races. This was a
Mhm.
BS call. This was what they did here is dumb. And, you got to combat that and try to keep things
Yeah,
going.
that's not doing anybody favors. You
Right.
know,
And
you think you're trying to argue your point, but really you're just, making you look like a jerk for posting it publicly. You're making the track look like a jerk for the situation happening. And how many times have we talked to Tony Eldridge about that leads to, potential sponsors saying that I don't want anything to do with that.
yeah, right.
Yeah. And
Right.
it's so moral of the story there, it's no good for anybody to complain and moan on Facebook. So,
Yeah. And
just stop it.
Billy even said in our interview there, he's like, sometimes we measure our success by how much drama shows up on Facebook. Is it like a couple posts,
Yeah,
or is it a lot of posts?
in that
Right.
same breath, no drama, no complaints, no posts must have been a good night. Well, that's the nights we need to be posting about.
Yeah, right, right. Bob said it. You pissed off, you tell 100 people. You do something good, they tell 10.
Mhm.
And last year, I talked with Billy and Tammy over at Shady Hill, and we got the deal done and had all 5 classes on one night with autograph night. And I'll remember this for as long as I can. Billy said to me at the end of the night, he goes, most nights we got 70, 80 cars in the parking in the pits, and we'll get at least 2 or 3 irate drivers. He said tonight we had over 100 something, not one complaint.
Yeah. And I think,
Incredible.
yeah.
That's impressive.
And for us, that statement that if something's wrong, you tell 100, if something's good, you only maybe tell 10. That's kind of the genesis of the one positive segment that we talked about.
Mhm.
Obviously we asked Billy about his one positive, and obviously hard to, how hard you have to work at racing is teaching work ethic, and also
Mhm.
teaches it to these young kids too that are coming up working on their cars and having to prep week in and week out. So that's kind of the genesis of the one positive. Is there's so many negative, and people are quick to jump on the negative, obviously with the outlets of today from the social media standpoint, that we kind of wanted to flip it around and give everybody the opportunity to say something positive. So we definitely encourage everybody, if you're going to the racetrack, whether it's Kankakee on Friday, Grundy on Friday, Shady Hill Saturday, if you're going to watch the mini wedges at Plymouth on Sunday,
Yeah.
if you have a positive experience, leave a review of the racetrack. You can do that on Facebook, post it to your own Facebook and say, hey man, these guys, this, XYZ thing was great, and 10 out of 10, highly recommend, or if you have a positive interaction with a staff member, pass that along up the chain. Just,
Mhm.
this is a fantastic sport, and obviously we're all intertwined and neck deep in it. At this point we want to see it thrive and we want to see it succeed. And having Billy, obviously a seasoned racer in his own right and intertwined now in the racetrack side, he's like you said, Brian, he's seen both sides of it. So we definitely want to make sure that everybody here is on the right track, and we're growing this community and this sport together.
I was listening. It was a few weeks ago, right after the Atlanta race. I was listening to Sirius XM Speedway with Dave Moody, and he had a caller call in and ask him. The caller was asking Dave to tell somebody in Atlanta how good a race that was, and Dave said they don't care what I think, they care what you think. So, if you got something positive to say about these racetracks, tell them publicly, post it everywhere. You can go tell a promoter, hey, good job, but if you go tell your friends that, hey, this promoter is doing a good job, you should come. So we gotta get more butts in the seats, and we got to get more butts in the cars too. Billy made a comment about how you got the racing has no future if there's no younger generation gonna go racing.
Right. Yeah. Which, kind of talks to the success that they've had with the Crown Vic class there. Obviously what they're doing with the 4-cylinders, kind of merging the 4-cylinder divisions they had. So they definitely have the entry level classes over there. If you're wanting to go that route, we talked about the enduros. They're going to have an enduro over there. And that's kind of been a common theme most of our season here that we've been, doing here in 2024 is all the enduro stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Cheap racing.
Yeah,
a lot of laps.
That whole I don't really want to call it a series because each track kind of has their own thing going on, but just the whole genre of enduro racing, I think, is back with a vengeance.
It is because, like you said, Brian, it's cheap racing. It's affordable racing at this point. And that's, I think, one thing that is severely hurting the sport right now is the barrier to entry. Having to pay to get a car and put it together, and as Billy mentioned, the technology and the engineering to run even at the middle levels, in the street stocks and mid-ams and stuff. It's crazy. Much less
they're
super lates.
The mid '80s Monte Carlos, those are getting real hard to find. So
I thought of what I was going to say to Billy.
Here we go.
There it is.
Here we go. We thought he already thought of it, but
we were talking about the vintage guys. And,
yes.
And he mentions, how people can relate to those cars, and, they still show up on Fridays and they watch the super lates and the modifieds that don't look like race cars, period. But that's just what we have today. And they're cool and fast. But I started thinking, what about the wedge car? That was certainly a space age car, and it'd be vintage at this point. What if we could get Pat Eklund back behind the wheel of the wedge car for a vintage night, right? That will throw people for a loop.
Yeah.
That's what I was going to say.
Yeah. Well, hell, even like, some of the street stocks in the Monte Carlos and stuff like you said, they don't look like street stock Monte Carlos anymore,
No, they did at one point. You can tell like the frame is still there.
There's body rules in the dirt world where it's like, okay, here's your chassis, here's your frame, here's your roll cage, throw whatever else you want on there. You got 4 cylinders that look like right off the lot, like Dodge Neons now. You got 4 cylinders that look like they were just, you slapped 4 wheels on a car and just painted it with like house paint.
I've seen some 4 cylinders look like somebody put their late model in the dryer just a bit too long.
Yeah, it is great. Going out east, with Plymouth and South Bend a couple times, some of those division, it's like, what am I looking at?
I've often joked that the body rules for the street stocks out there are just have one. That's kind of
that's kind of the way it is in the dirt world a little bit, with some of those track specific classes, UMP and some of those IMCA, they have their rules and they look like just like those old late models, or I guess now it'd be older late models that are just flat sheets, and then you attach the bumpers on both ends and like, voila, we have a Monte Carlo, even though it just looks like a rectangle on wheels with the two bumpers,
a cylinder
right?
block. Yeah.
So it's the more we get out and venture out and see those different classes and stuff, and we're racing. You put a motor in it and put wheels on it, we're gonna race it. Which is how we grow the sport, right?
Yeah, absolutely, 100%. We look forward to seeing what they have going on at the Kankakee County Speedway. Like I said, on Fridays this year, lots of racing going on over there. Make sure to check out their Facebook and the website and all that good information.
KankakeeCountySpeedway.com.
There you go.
There it is.
He already looked it up, so you don't have to.
Don't ask me to spell it because that'll take a half hour.
Yeah, we've already established the fact that we're not the English majors here on the show, so we're good.
Yeah.
So we are good. So want to transfer just a little bit. You guys mentioned the memorabilia show that we were at last week and the show that we did. How did Good Acre Photography kind of make out in that deal?
Did you spend it
did
all
right.
on models from Don Rich,
No,
or did we actually
was
bring some
all.
home?
We brought home more money than I spent, but I didn't spend any of the money that we made. That was all personal income. But yeah, I didn't sell. We didn't sell as much as I had hoped we would. But at the same time, Mom made a good point about our setup was very intimidating. And admittedly, yeah, I probably could have spent another 6 to 8 months organizing it and been a little more clean. But man, there is just so much there that eventually I just had to, okay, we're a week out. I've got to stop sorting and figure out how I'm going to put all these things on a table.
Well, I got some good news for you, Chris. You've got 12 months to come up with a
I
less
do not
intimidating
have
system.
12 months. You know what starts in 2 weeks?
How much of that 12 months is going to be spent at a racetrack or behind a
probably-
computer screen?
Probably 13 of those 12 months.
Well, yeah, I can definitely say your setup was definitely the most expansive that I have seen it, but you had a lot of traffic. Again, most I've ever seen. So take the good with that, and only good things to come there.
Yeah, now if we can just twist some people's arm to come to that show that I have ungodly amounts of pictures of Billy Nippenberg.
If I go down to Kankakee this year, I'll take him a bag and
demand money.
I'll demand money to go back home.
Oh man,
I'm not leaving.
It was.
I'm not leaving the racetrack till you buy these.
It was nice catching up. Pat Kelly was there, bought some pictures. Unfortunately, he was looking for pictures of his daughter that had passed away, and that's another unfortunate situation that we didn't know about before that. So hearts out to the Kelly family too. I'm not sure how long ago or what happened, but first I learned of it, so it's fresh to us. We talked to Tony DeAmbrose for a bit. Talked to who was there? Joe Broody. Kim Kemperman bought us out of all of Jerry Kemperman pictures until I scanned the negatives and print some more.
Hey, maybe she'll buy those too.
Hey, maybe, because everything we brought was just leftover prints. I hadn't printed anything new because I'm only halfway through one season of scanning. Haven't even imported it into the computer yet because that's going to be another years long project.
You have a lot of those.
Well, I keep getting volunteered for them, and then the people that volunteer me find better things to do, so I have to pick up what's left of it and do the best I can.
Right. Well, yeah, work that in. These race teams want you to design stuff for them,
Yeah, those guys too.
Yeah. So good times. So we obviously heard Billy Nippenberg's one positive there, and he talked about work ethic, that he's learned from racing. So
I think I'm supposed to take them away from that.
Yeah, right. So let's kind of delve into our one positive segment for the week. And because I'm the host of the show, I'm going to take liberties, and I'm going to go first.
Go for it.
So did a little research before this episode started, and realized that we have crossed over the 1,000 followers on Facebook.
All right.
All right.
Cool.
So
cheers to all you
does the
followers.
1,000th follower get a gift? Because we probably should have planned a little bit better for that.
No,
We don't know who they are.
Yeah, like I said, hey, mentioned we were barely okay with the technology we have. We've already talked about that. But
That mean you can't count to 1,000?
I can count to 1,000. 1 and 3 zeros afterwards. That's,
there you go.
I got that much. So yeah, I just strolling around on our Facebook page, because we had those chat bots or the spammers in our promotional post for the episode. So scrolling around, making sure all those were deleted and whatnot. Obviously, you see some extra people following the page, and said, 1K followers, so 1,000 followers. So we have broken that mark,
and we're also getting bots posting scam links to our links. So
yeah, we've made it. We at least though, at least it's some light at the end of the tunnel. There are some days that you sit here and you edit a podcast, and maybe 20 people listen to it or watch it, and you don't have the reach that maybe you expected or wanted to have. But
Hey, we know that our podcast gets all the way to North Carolina now. It's not just
We
our
do.
moms watching it.
Yeah, we do. So,
Although I appreciate mom watching it.
hey, when mine watches it makes it to Kentucky. So that's like we're
There you
really
go.
kind of starting to expand out a little bit. So,
Look at
but
us
no,
go.
but no, that's great. So hashtag one positive for all the people that follow us on the social and are interested even a little bit in what we're doing and support us along the way. It's been a grind to even build it to this point, and we're still working. Still trying to be the best show we can. Like I said, we're not professionals at doing this. There's no there's no public speaking
We're
training.
not professionals yet.
Yeah, there's it's we're very amateur. We know it, but I want to thank everybody out there though that follows along with us. So that's my hashtag one positive for this week.
Well, geez, how are we going to follow that?
Maybe
Good
it's
answer.
maybe it's just a generic show one positive. Maybe we just move on.
Well, okay. I'm going to volunteer Brian for the next one because I got to think about mine.
Wow.
Oh boy, my one. This.
You remembered.
Well, I mean, I got a lot going on. My one positive.
He's got racetracks like we got race teams.
I have an asterisk for my one positive because it'll be more like tomorrow. But this doctor will finally sign off on my my DOT physical tomorrow after my 30 nights of sleep study on my CPAP machine. Yes, I have sleep apnea. Yeah, I'm on the CPAP machine. I go to bed looking like Darth Vader and wake up feeling like the Emperor or whatever the old rusty wrinkly guy is. It's been a whirlwind in my health by things. Yeah, I know. I haven't watched Star Wars in a while. I'm in a Marvel kick right now.
Oh, okay.
But so hopefully that's my real one positive is that I'm back behind the wheel Friday and slinging beer like I did a month ago.
Well, I know your accounts are waiting impatiently for that day.
Yeah. Well, I mean, luckily they've still gotten to see me. I'm still on my route, just I'm not the driver. So hopefully that's my one positive for the week. I'm sure it is. I've done everything she wants me to do and all of her mandates and all that. So hopefully that's it. But in case it's not, I think my one positive. Yeah, my one positive is just I'm drawing a blank. Lost my train of thought again. I'll remember it in the middle of Chris's.
Oh, okay.
No, I'm just kidding.
Not sure what to do with his hands.
Yeah, right. Just really just the way that we're clicking with things, the way we accepted Steve's challenge, and he came back last week and saw we had Kyle Harvey at the table and goes, "Oh, he don't need me. No, they don't need me anymore." We're growing, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's thank you to all the followers and listeners and watchers and subscribers and bell button pushers and all that. Like, yeah, I really appreciate that, and I know I came on late. Currently late, if we're here 200 more episodes now, it's like came in early, but not really.
You could be the cousin Oliver, but really you're the season 2 of Parks and Rec. You made us better. You challenged us to I guess get better, do more often, and contributed by throwing some guests at us, writing some scripts for us.
Yeah,
sitting there at the end of the couch not saying anything.
Yeah, I've grown a lot just from sitting on the end of the couch to having what I think was absolutely god awful. But there was a TikTok I saw. That said the first time you do anything, it's going to be god awful. Yep. And everything I've done for the first time, except for maybe drive a car, has been god awful. And I got to thank
Chris. The first step.
I got to thank Chris for roughhousing me in NASCAR 98 and all that and how to drive a car. So
first time remind Straco, we're never going to get that race.
So, aside from that, knocking down the first one with the Larson family, that went, by all means went terribly in my eyes, but we got some good stories. And
you're your own harshest critic.
Correct. And we're growing, and now I'm sitting over here, and last year the script for this show was paragraphs, and I'm over here, I got I got enough sentences you can make a paragraph, but it's just bam, 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 bam. We're going to knock this out. We're going to talk about it. And it's more about a conversation flow than it is talk. They're all talking points. It's not scripts. Right. And we joked about, with the Larsons, hey, you got your lines memorized, and I think that's kind of scared Hetty a little bit, like, oh shit, I gotta memorize these lines. It's like, no, like you know, that's something I've learned over time is, you don't have to be. I mean, you can be detailed and detail oriented, but like you don't have to. You got to kind of figure out the other side, and
there is such a thing as over preparation.
Mhm.
Yeah, and that was me. That was me, 100%. Look at me now. Look at us
in
now.
listening to professional podcasters, I've heard Jim Ross talk about he never wanted to know the end of the matches. He just wanted to kind of have an idea of what match is next, and then he would call the matches as he saw them. Whoever won the match, well, hey, that's news to Jim.
Yeah.
So it keeps you in the moment.
I hope we keep growing and doing big things. #1 positive.
#2 positive.
#2 positive.
Hashtag
We don't know how to count, okay?
Yeah. Chris, have you had enough time to think of one now?
I've actually got 2.
I guess you're gonna have to go again.
#2 positive.
We're gonna come back around to Jeremy.
Nope.
The first
Moving on.
The first one's kind of a cop out, but it's really not. #1 positive is, Brian was talking to Billy, and we were up here floating heads about the Kankakee schedule, but Billy's kind of on board. Grundy's on board. Plymouth. Really, I think South Bend started it. It was one of our early episodes with Tony, and he said he does not want to see the words regular show on the schedule at all. Mm-hmm. And every single track we got this year, I think, has something going on every night. That is, aside from doing, crash fests and tearing up the track and, putting your photographers' lives at danger, there's really not a better way to get people in than offering them as many options as possible. Surely, even if you don't like racing, there's something going on at a racetrack that has to interest you.
Might even be a concert.
Might be a concert. Might be some guy getting shot out of a cannon, flying through the air, landing in a net. Might be some idiots driving around in buses in a figure 8.
Yep.
Roll them over.
I don't think Grundy would like their buses to be rolled over just yet. Because we were talking to Rhonda when we were dropping off
they're going to have an actual bus race?
Yeah. Yep.
Oh, boy.
Talking about how the buses at Illiana got so expensive to rent because everybody was wrecking them.
Yeah.
So, and they're okay. I lied. 3 positives.
Wow. See, I did one. I did one. He did 2. Chris did 3. So
all right, we got a positivity pyramid.
Yeah.
So a second one positive is, hey, we saw Rhonda twice in the last couple weeks. We had some old actual vintage leftover from Illiana programs and t-shirts, and hopefully we're going to twist our arm a little bit, maybe get Rhonda on one of these and, make it officially the Illiana Stock Car Radio.
Ooh.
Yeah, there's a scoop for you.
Yeah. She's going to have to be in studio. She's not great with technology.
Yeah, I know, but
hey, neither we. So
I mean, she works.
She'll fit right in.
Yeah, she works a few miles from the studio. We can make it.
Yeah,
work.
That's true.
Yeah.
And so that third one positive is going to be a segue, because we've been talking a little bit about this new website. So we've been talking about this new website that I'm building and how I'm having to relearn how to do everything. I think I finally crossed over into the figuring out how to do it stage. So we're getting there. Brian took a look at what I got earlier. Unfortunately, what it means is I'm going to have to dismantle the old website to get the new one running. So I'm kind of putting it on pause a little bit while I work on some back end stuff. But because of how all the back end stuff works, I can't build it and then, okay, it's up. I'm going to have to piecemeal it together. So goodacrephotography.com will be down for a little bit while we switch over. I'm aiming for right after the Enduro at Plymouth being that kind of transition. So, we got a new season, new website, and hopefully everything works. We'll get some guinea pigs testing that here in the near future. Hopefully, fingers crossed, and everything will be peaceful, and we'll have a website that people can understand and be able to find stuff on, and everything will work. Yay!
And in the meantime, while goodacrephotography.com is down, make sure you check out Good Acre Photography on Facebook and Instagram.
Yeah, we're there too.
As well as Good Acre Design.
Yep. Yeah.
You need driver cards, race cars, whatever you need design.
Yeah, that's kind of a double-edged sword because there's not a whole lot of stuff there, but that means we're busy doing stuff that's not socially postable yet. So yeah, we're nose to the grindstone. I know Brian's got about 1,500 Shady Hill things he's working on. I got a few race cars and some T-shirts and stuff going on. So yeah, it might not look like we're doing much. We're doing a lot.
Yeah. Hey, you got my race car designed yet?
I got a race car designed with your name on it.
You
Might
got
not
the
be
back,
this year's, but
you got the back page ad done yet for S4 Motorsports at Shady Hill?
I am waiting for the big man to tell me what he wants on it.
Well, I reached out to him and he goes, "Awfully bossy, aren't you?" So I said, "Sorry, I mean pretty please do it now."
I'm waiting for the exact same question for Grundy too.
Yeah.
So a lot going on, a lot coming up here. Season's getting ready to get underway in just a few weeks.
Yeah, don't remind me.
Yeah, so
We
we
need
will.
about 6 more months.
Yep. So we will be busy, all getting to the racetrack. So bear with us. We'll try to keep our positive momentum here of episodes.
You know what?
And postings. And
I'm going to throw down a challenge here for you, Mr. Jeremy.
Oh man.
Keep the momentum rolling.
Keep the momentum rolling. You know, we're doing a one positive every 2 weeks when we do an episode. We need to be doing a one positive every week when the season starts.
So here's let's do this. Every Sunday night, race weekend is in the books. We will be posting on our Facebook page asking for your hashtag one positive experience from the racetrack and the racing world that you've experienced over the weekend, whether you watched it on TV, watched a streaming service, actually got to the track, or as our buddy Tony says, got your backside trackside, maybe to one of the concerts, maybe to a crash fest, whatever you experienced. We can keep the positivity going. We will ask you on Sunday evenings throughout the racing season, what is your hashtag one positive? So be on the lookout for that. Good segue.
Some of
Chris.
you might get shared on this here thing if we like what you said.
Oh, we might select our positivity pyramid
There
of the
you
week.
go.
Before the season starts, what's the over under on racetrack hot dogs I eat this year?
Are we counting the night that I buy a case for you to throw into the stands?
I gotta physically eat them.
So I got a math here. How many races are you planned for this year?
45 probably.
90 hot dogs.
I think I planned right about. So I think we have like 22 weeks at Shady Hill plus a handful of others, and you're gonna say 2 a night.
Yeah.
Wait, that means I'm gonna have to keep the wrapper so we can confirm.
Is this closest without going over, or if we guess the right number of hot dogs in the Brian, we win the hot dogs?
Right rules here. Or
This I'm gonna set it at 44 and a half. That's one a little over one a night.
We're gonna give him a little note. Night. We're gonna give him a little notepad, and he can make.
No. He is gonna save his wrappers. Because if I'm saving all my wristbands, he's got to save his wrappers.
I said, all right. Say this at the end of the night. At the end of the night, he has to send a picture of how many wrappers he's got left.
Yeah.
Could you imagine camera bag just for the wrappers?
Wasn't there a kid show where they put like the gum into a ball and just got bigger and bigger and bigger?
I think there's some real people that do that.
But now we're gonna have hot dog wrappers.
We're gonna have hot dog wrappers.
We're gonna fill my whole basement with hot dog wrappers.
Kelsey, this is Brian's idea. I had nothing to do with it.
Yeah, no, we're just instigating and egging him on. That's what any good peer pressure group does.
It's gonna be a good season. You know, I mean, shoot, this was just night one. We still got to talk to Steve.
Yeah.
We still got to talk to Tony about 1.25 tracks, and we got to talk to Billy and Tammy.
Yeah.
And who knows, maybe I'll strong arm somebody else to come talk. Doubtful though. I don't know anybody else.
Oh, liar.
As far as local racetrack promoters,
well, maybe we can get Tim in to talk about the mid-ams.
Yeah, he's always a good.
He seems like he's not going to say technology. No.
Yeah. You know, he was another one that, you know, if he didn't have his own booth to man, he would have just pulled up a chair to the front of ours.
Yeah. And he said if you see anything, text it to him and he'll help you name it.
Well, right now I'm just glad I got it all back on the shelf.
Oh, it's out of your living room?
It's out of the living room. I got a little bit of room to walk around.
You have all the space for karate.
I don't know about karate. Maybe
sitting on the couch.
I got enough room to change my mind. How about that?
Perfect.
Well, we hope everybody out there does not change their mind or change the channel as you have watched our show. The segue master over here. Again, want to thank everybody for watching, catching us on YouTube and the audio version on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts. However you're consuming this podcast, I want to thank you for doing so in that particular method. Make sure to like, subscribe, follow, whatever you got to do there to make sure you are on top of everything that we've got coming on in the 2024 race season here at Illiana Stock Car Radio. You also catch us on Instagram and Facebook at Illiana SCR, Illiana Stock Car Radio. You search us, whatever you want to do, however you find us, make sure hit that like, subscribe. Like I said, we will be here all year, guiding our way through the season. And like Brian mentioned, this is just week one of our promoters call them roundtable or season previews. Look forward to the next one here in a few weeks. We'll keep checking the socials to who we have lined up next. We know we're getting them lined up. We just don't know 100% what order they're going to be in yet. So it'll be a surprise to you and really to us. So
Hopefully we'll get Tony on the first try this year.
Yeah. Well, hey, we went back to try.
Remember how we screw everything up and learn how to do it afterwards?
Back to that technology.
Yeah. So this is the case where I learned not to be a cheapskate and just pay for StreamYard. We just record and do it that way.
Which, hey, we're accepting sponsors. If you want to have your business highlighted right here in the ending segment where we're making fun of everything and just having a good old time, let us know. That's
right. We do accept bribes. I mean sponsorship.
I think I just heard Bob Schwartz text me about the after hours mowing. He'll love to be on.
I bet he will. We'll work on that. But in the meantime, I want to thank Billy Niffenberg Jr.
After Hours podcast.
Ooh, Illiana SCR.
Oh God! Now we're gonna have a Patreon and God.
An OnlyFans.
There it is.
Yeah, it'll just be Brian sitting
go to Gardner for advice on that one.
It'll just be Brian sitting on a couch in his shorts and flip flops, zoomed in on his feet.
Yeah, Mom made a comment about how if Kyle Harvey's going to be watching us in North Carolina, Brian needs to put his shoes on,
or just be a head where you can only see from my chest up.
That's hard to do in studio.
That's true. That is true.
Yeah.
And on that note, I thank everybody again for watching. I want to thank Billy Niffenberg Jr. for stopping by this week and talking to us about the 2024 season at the Kankakee County Speedway. Until next time in our next promoters episode, I want to thank you guys again for watching and listening to Illiana Stock Car Radio.